Welcome to Sophie's Daddy's channel. All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on something that pretty much runs Wall Street, but you almost never see it. We're talking about these incredible algorithms, these digital brains that are firing off millions of trades every single second. They're the real backbone of modern finance. So to kick things off, let me ask you a question.
Seriously, think about it for a sec. You're on your trading app, you hit sell on a stock. Who or what is on the other end of that trade, right there in that exact instant, ready to buy it from you? It happens so fast it feels like magic, right? Well, spoiler alert, it's not magic. It's something very, very specific and incredibly powerful.
And the answer to that question? It's something called a market maker. You can think of them as the invisible engine that keeps the whole market running. And their job is, honestly, one of the most important and probably one of the most misunderstood roles in all of finance.
So what do they do? Well, at its core, a market maker provides something called liquidity. The best way to think about it is like this. They're basically a 24/7 convenience store for stocks. You know, they're always open, they're always ready to quote you a price to buy, that's the bid, and a price to sell, that's the ask. This means you can pretty much always get your trade done because they're there to soak up any temporary imbalances and just keep everything moving.
Okay, but they're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, right? So how do they get paid? It all comes down to something called the bid-ask spread. That's just the tiny, tiny difference between the price they'll buy at and the price they'll sell at. Their whole game is to buy from you at that lower bid price and then turn around and sell to someone else at the slightly higher ask price. We're talking fractions of a penny here, but when you multiply that microscopic profit by millions and millions of trades a day, yeah, it adds up. It's basically their fee for being there and taking on the risk.
But here's the thing. The whole world of market making has been completely turned on its head. You know that classic image of traders in colorful jackets shouting and waving their hands in a crowded pit? Yeah, that's basically ancient history now. Today, the real action happens in silent, freezing cold data centers. And the most valuable weapon isn't a loud voice, it's the speed of light. So how did we get here? Well, it didn't happen overnight. Before the 90s, yeah, it was all people on a trading floor. But then electronic exchanges like NASDAQ started taking over. And then two huge things happened that really kicked things into high gear. First, in 2001, we got decimalization, which just means stocks could be priced in pennies instead of bigger fractions. That squeezed the profits for market makers. Then, in 2005, a rule called Regulation NMS came along and basically shattered the market into a bunch of different competing venues. All of a sudden, there was just no way a human being could keep track of the best price across all these different places at once. The need for a machine, for an automated solution, was just screamingly obvious.
And this created a totally new reality. I mean, the difference in what a person can do versus an algorithm is just staggering. A human trader thinks and acts in seconds, maybe minutes. A high-frequency trading algorithm, or HFT for short, it operates in microseconds. That's millionths of a second. It's so fast they physically place their servers in the same building as the stock exchange's computers just to cut down on the time it takes light to travel through a fiber optic cable. And it can blast out thousands of price updates every single second. It's just a level of scale and speed that is completely, fundamentally beyond human ability.
So you gotta wonder, how does this automated brain even think? Because it's not just about being fast, it's about being smart. And the entire logic, the whole operating system, is built to solve one central, absolutely terrifying problem.
And that number one problem? It's inventory risk. Let's go back to our convenience store. Imagine you're the owner, and you suddenly realize you have 1,000 gallons of milk that are all going to expire tomorrow. That's a nightmare, right? That's inventory risk. For an algorithm, getting stuck holding a giant position in a stock while its price is tanking, that is the absolute worst-case scenario. It's the boogeyman, and pretty much every single decision it makes is designed to stop that from ever happening. Now, the secret weapon for managing this risk is a concept called the reservation price. This is really cool. Think of it as the algorithm's private, internal idea of what a stock is actually worth. It's not the price you or I see on the screen, it's its own secret number, and it's constantly changing in real time based on how much risk it's holding at that very second. Okay, so here's how it plays out in real time. Let's say the algorithm has been buying, and now its inventory is getting too high. It's long the stock in trader talk. Instantly, it recalculates its secret reservation price, and it nudges it a little bit lower. Then it takes its public buy and sell quotes and skews them both downwards, centered around that new, lower secret price. So what does that do? Well, it makes its sell price just a little bit more attractive to everyone else in the market. It's a gentle nudge, just trying to tempt someone to take that inventory off its hands and get it back to flat.
And this is a really, really important point. This core strategy isn't about predicting the future. It's not trying to guess where the stock price will be in an hour or a day. It is 100% reactive. It's only looking at two things. What's my inventory right now, and how crazy is the market right now? That's it. It's all about managing risk in this exact second. You could almost call it a masterpiece of defensive programming.
But, in a world this ridiculously competitive, just playing good defense isn't always enough to make the big bucks. The really top-tier firms, they're always hunting for something more. They're looking for a real, predictive edge. And in the world of finance, that's called alpha. And that really brings us to the two different games being played here. First, you've got spread capture. That's the bread and butter business we've been talking about, just earning that tiny fee for providing liquidity. But then there's alpha capture. This is a whole different beast. This is where you use data to try and actually predict where the price is headed in the next few milliseconds, and then you trade ahead of that move. It's about being predictive, not just reactive.
So how on earth do they do that? Well, this is where machine learning comes in. You have these incredibly complex ML models that are just tearing through mountains of data every single microsecond. They're looking at everything. Are there more buy orders than sell orders right now? How fast are trades happening? What's the sentiment of the latest news headlines? They're even scanning social media, all to find these tiny, almost invisible patterns that might give them a clue about where the market's going to wiggle in the next split second.
But there's a huge catch. It's a problem they call alpha decay. It's kind of ironic, really. As soon as you find one of these magic predictive signals and start using it to make money, the signal dies. Why? Because you and every other firm that finds it trade on it so much that you basically arbitrage it away. The opportunity just vanishes. And this creates a non-stop, high-stakes arms race. You have to constantly find the next news signal before anyone else does.
And all of this brings us to the central paradox of high-frequency trading. The whole system is a massive double-edged sword. On one side, it brings this incredible efficiency to the markets, but on the other, it introduces some new and frankly pretty frightening ways for things to break.
Let's look at the good side first, because the argument is pretty strong. All of this insane competition between these lightning-fast algorithms has pushed those bid-ask spreads down to almost nothing. They're at historic lows. For the average person, for you and me, that means trading is literally cheaper than it has ever been in history. That's a huge benefit.
But then there's the other side of the sword, the risk. When you have all these ultra-fast automated systems all reacting to each other at the speed of light, you can get these terrifying feedback loops. The most famous or infamous example was the flash crash back in 2010. A wave of automated selling just cascaded and triggered more selling, erasing nearly $1 trillion in market value in just a few minutes, before it all magically reappeared. It was a ghost in the machine.
So really, this is the trade-off we've made. The pros? You get tighter spreads, more liquidity, and lower costs for pretty much everybody. The cons? They're pretty serious. You've got the systemic risk of another flash crash. You've got the potential for bad actors to manipulate the market with things like spoofing, placing fake orders to fool other algorithms. And you've created this kind of two-tiered market where the players with the absolute fastest connections have a built-in advantage over everyone else.
Now, to be clear, it's not the complete Wild West out there. A lot of defenses have been built to try and manage these risks. I mean, every single order has to pass through automated risk checks before it even hits the market. Firms have strict automated limits on how big their positions can get, and most importantly, they all have emergency kill switches designed to shut down a runaway algorithm before it can do catastrophic damage.
And that leaves us with the big ultimate question, doesn't it? These algorithms have, without a doubt, made our markets faster, more efficient, and, in many ways, cheaper for us all. But as these automated brains get more and more complex, more intelligent, are we accidentally building a market that's not just more efficient, but also more fragile? Are we just creating new kinds of risks that are harder to see until it's too late? That's really the central dilemma we're facing in finance today.
All right, the learning doesn't have to stop here. If you want to explore even more, I've built the perfect place for you at sophie-ai-finance.com to unlock a new way of learning. Think of it as your personal learning toolkit. If you just want the big picture, you can watch the video or listen to the podcast. It's perfect for getting the main concepts down while you're on the go. But if sometimes you need to hit the pause button and really let an idea sink in, you can visit the blog article. It has all the details, charts, and text from our discussion so you can review everything at your own pace. And for those of you who want to see all the math, data, and the complete nitty-gritty behind the analysis, well, I've got a full research paper waiting for you, so you can really dig into the details and see how everything works under the hood. It's all there, all for you. And hey, if you have any ideas for new topics about finance and AI you'd like me to cover, please leave me a message. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.